All right. So we have a quote on truth from the masters. And this one is from Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And he says, "It is always the false that makes you suffer, the false desires and fears, the false values and ideas, the false relationships between people. Abandon the false and you are free of pain. Truth makes happy, truth liberates." We all want to know the truth. We all want the truth. But very few of us have the courage to investigate. Very few of us have the strength to make this investigation which leads to truth and dropping away of the false. But those who do, liberation happens for them. You see, these two movements, desire and fear, are basically from the same source. They arise from the separation. Now, at the root of every desire is a fear. For example, if I am terrified of loneliness, a desire comes in me to actually find a partner, to live with somebody. Now, when this desire is coming out of the sense of separation, there are false ideas attached to it. And the relationship as a result which is formed is based on this illusion that the other person is going to bring me a sense of safety, stability, security, completeness, that they are responsible for my happiness, that somehow they will do something which will keep me happy. And I will be happy only if I am in a good relationship with them, harmonious relationship with them. So what this desire, which is actually a movement in fear, does for me is it outsources my sense of happiness to another person, thing, object. It can be an idea also, like if I get more money, more wealth, more fame, more admiration, more adulation, then I will be happy. So I've already abandoned the peace, the sense of calm that is here right now. And I've swayed into this movement of fear, creating these desires that I must get something, I must acquire something. Only if that person is in my life, I will feel whole, happy. So this is how illusion propagates more illusion, and it just keeps on increasing this sense of separation, which is suffering, which is pain. So Maharaj says, abandon the false, and you are free of pain, which means see the truth, which is what is, things as they are, the unaltered, unmodified flow of life. The moment we allow thought to interfere, twisting the vision, modifying, altering the vision, or skewing it, we experience suffering and pain. Because now there is this strengthening of this sense of separate self or me, which says things should be according to what I want. It should be the way I perceive life. And the vision of this entity, me, is always skewed. It's always based on conditions. If my partner is loving, caring, kind, only then I will be happy. It must be a perfect relationship. Only if I get more money, I will be happy. So it assumes that there will be no opposite with that. It assumes that a partner will be perfect, or the money that is coming in will not come with additional problems. So you see, the image me here is projecting another image out there, whereas it is the same image. They are not two. There's only one image, but it is projecting this future fantasy in the form of a desire. If I get these variables right in my life, money, stability, harmony in relationships, perfect marriage, this, that, things will be perfect. I will be happy, fulfilled, perfectly contented. But you see, these are all movements, so they are all fleeting. All relationships eventually end. Money keeps fluctuating in life. Sometimes it is there, sometimes it is not there. So if we attach our happiness to a person, we will be disappointed, because the person will go through changes, they will go through moods, they will go through their own challenges, their own phases of life. In some phase of life, they may experience depression, they may experience some kind of spiritual insight may happen for them. So, they may not behave as we expect them to. And that may hit us if we have invested our sense of happiness and contentment in that person. Similarly, things like money, admiration, adulation, fame, these again goes through up and down. So if we have invested our sense of self in these objects, we are constantly facing disappointment, because it is going to sometimes you're going to experience the highs, and then you're going to also experience the debilitating lows, the crushing lows. So Maharaj says, abandon the false, which means acceptance of the cycles of up and down in everything, accepting that everything comes with the opposite. Even the perfect person comes with their flaws. They are not there to complete us. That's the illusion. We already are complete. We are that wholeness, that completeness in which the small self shines. And the small self is there for interaction, for life to happen as we know it. It creates its own desires and fears, but ultimately all desires, all movement is coming from the source itself. Once it is clear that this me, or the sense of separation, is an illusion, then there is no pain. Then truth is your essence. It is not to be acquired, it is to be realized. It is only this separation that stands between you and the truth, because you and truth are the one. And in this book, I Am That, Nisargadatta Maharaj says that the river of my life flows between the banks of pain and pleasure, but I cling to none. It is the clinging which causes the problem. Having a desire arising by itself is not a problem. Having a fear arising is also not a problem, because that contributes to the natural flow of life. So to label desire or fear as evil is not what the Master is saying. That again is a problem. Master is simply saying, see this arising, see these arisings, desire, fear, excitement, thrill, whatever is arising in a given moment. See them for what they are. See them with your total attention, not with this skewed perspective of the separate me. And then it becomes clear that happiness is not dependent on anything external. Truth is not to be acquired. Truth is what you are. Liberation is not to be acquired. Liberation is your nature. Peace is your nature. Just like the ocean, a wave may arise and go very high, but ultimately it merges back into the same ocean. It is made up of ocean. There is no separation. So living our life thinking that we are separate from others, we perceive the world as we perceive ourselves. When we are identified with our limitation, that means when we are identified with this whole image which consists of these desires and fears, then we see the world in the same way. We see the world as evil or flawed if we think that we are flawed. We see the world as dysfunctional if the dysfunction is within us. We are not separate. Jiddu Krishnamurti would say, you are the rest of the humanity. If you think you are separate from the world, you are mistaken. This whole notion that I am separate and I must do something to make this myself happy, feel contented, then I am chasing an illusion. It is illusion chasing an illusion, which leads to even more illusion. So Maharaj says it is always the false that makes you suffer. And what is false? One that comes and goes is false. What is truth? One that never comes or goes but is here. And here, now, this is always. It never comes and never goes. This presence, which can be witnessed in total silence, is always here. It is the bedrock foundation of all experiential awareness. It is the source and substance of everything. It is the one that makes all experiencing possible. If one relaxes in this most natural awareness, that is truth. That whole movement is free from becoming or unbecoming. But you see, mind loves drama. So we try to, we say that we want truth. We want the real deal. We want moksha. We come up with fancy names. We want enlightenment, awakening, this and that. But the problem is, we're not willing to go within and see what is happening. We are always focused externally, which creates this subject-object split. Me versus the others. And then there is disharmony, dysfunction, conflict. So we perpetually live in conflict because we do not address this separation. We do not investigate what this separation is, what is its nature. We always assume that the subject is real. And we enforce more individualistic ideas onto this sense of separation, and we strengthen it. My happiness, my life, I should be okay, I should be safe. Now, it is not to say that one should put oneself in danger or, in places of discomfort. Now, for example, while crossing the road, one should look at the traffic. Except in India, perhaps, because in India, traffic has to look at the people who are crossing the road. But otherwise, generally, we have to look at the traffic to make sure that the mind-body organism is safe. So I'm not talking about that, but living with this fear, this false imaginary fear that I must accumulate this, acquire that, I must find an amazing partner for myself to have a stable relationships, only then my life is going to be fulfilled. And if all of that is coming out from this imagined fears and imaginary desires, then it is going to lead to more and more conflict. And then one moves further away from the freedom or the liberation that is so close to us. So take a look at this simple quote from Nisargadatta Maharaj, where he says, "Abandon the false and you're free of pain. Truth makes happy, truth liberates."